Sports 1280 New Orleans.
I'm ready.
Welcome back to the show. Pleased to be joined by our colleague Ron Higgins, LSU SEC columnist for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. And wonderful story over the weekend. If you missed it, go check it out on NOLA.com about local product from Bonnabel, Joe Este, and his having to be student, football player, and father figure for his nephews. Unbelievable story. Ron, first off, I want to applaud you. Awesome job with the story. One of the best things I've read all year.
Well, I had a really good time doing that story, and it was I knew it was a special story as soon as I heard about it. And when you get something like that, you just try to screw it up. You just try to kind of move it along and stay out of the way of the story. I mean, because it's so good. You just get into it, organize it, and kind of let it run.
Ron, first question, how did you become alerted of this story? Because it's not like Joe is this big-time recruit or a big-time prospect in the NFL world and went to Bonnabel, not exactly known as a football power. Now, it's amazing. I've heard of Arthur Millette and now Joe Este. But how did you come about this story?
Well, Gary Sheffer, the guy who trains him, he originally called our former recruiting writer, James Smith, and James said he said, I think Ron Higgins probably could write this story better than I could. So he called me, and he told me the story, and I immediately knew that it could be really, really good. And then when I went there the first time and watched him train and sat down my first time I talked about an hour to him, I just knew it was it was an unbelievable story. And that's when I came back and kind of told the editors, this could be really, really good. And they agreed, and that's when they put our photographer and video people onto it, and we went back there again and did the video and got some more stuff from him, and it was and just kind of went from there. It's one of the more special stories I've done. I've done some pretty good stories in my career. I mean, kind of stuff like I love doing stories like this that are kind of offbeat or different. I did a couple in Memphis like this. I did one in Memphis about a kid who led his team to the state tournament in basketball as a junior, but one day in downtown Memphis, he got he kind of stole a woman's purse, and he stole a woman's purse and got arrested, and the judge put him for some reason, in jail for his senior year in a community college in Kansas. The coach came down and basically recruited him off the witness stand and turned the kid's life around. And I went to Kansas to follow the kid, and the kid, it turned his life around. So I love stories like this where there's very much a human element to it, to where there's overcoming some kind of odds. And then in this case, I mean, this Joe Este is just a special person.
Ron, I'm curious, I know you articulated it somewhat in the story, but what are his NFL prospects?
Well, I mean, I think if he goes around to 4.37, and he did it twice, just a couple of weeks ago, and Gary's a really good speed trainer. The kid's got he's got a nice body. They can just get him in a camp. We'll see what happens. I mean, I think Joe's a long shot. He knows he's a long shot, but hey, he's been a long shot his entire life. That's why nothing really bothers him. I mean, you read the story. I mean, he was an academic non-qualifier and got a shot at a junior college and played well there. Got hurt 4 games that year. Kind of took some scholarship offers away. He ended up going to a D1 AA and played well there. And I think this is a kid that's going to keep. He's going to keep trying until he can't try anymore, because he's playing for more than himself. He's playing for his nephews and support them. And as you read at the end of the story, I mean, this isn't your average guy. I mean, your average Joe, he's already got a plan. If football doesn't work, he wants to become a pediatrician. So this is a guy who's really about as well-grounded as you can find.
Ron Higgins, LSU SEC columnist, joining us right here on Dunc Holder. I love the headline. Clear eyes, full house, can't lose. Perfect headline for this story. And part of this story is the full house. Just if people haven't read it, I obviously go read it. But just for our listeners, express how Joe had to become a father figure and basically take in his nephews and bring them with him to college, multiple states away from home.
Well, Joe, he eventually got to Tennessee Martin, 1AA school. He's there about a month, and he gets a call from his mother and says, I can't take care of the nephews anymore, the kids. And they're the nephews of Joe's sister, who has some substance abuse problems, and really, past several years, this has been very erratic and unreliable. And so the mother had the nephews, and so Joe said, "Okay, I'm gonna see what I can do." The next day, the coaches noticed he wasn't himself at workouts, and the head coach brought him in. He told him, he said, "Coach, I have to quit football. I got to take care of my nephews. They need me." And he said, "Now let's think about this." And he said, "What about if you brought him up here?" And Joe really thought about it and didn't really hesitate. He said, "Okay, yeah, man." And so the unbelievable part of this is he went back to get him in May, and he can't find his mother. So he kind of tracks his mother down by phone and says, where the nephews? She goes, "I don't know. His sister took him somewhere, and I don't know where they are." So for the next month and a half while he's in New Orleans, Joe's looking for the kids. I mean, like you said, I felt like a bounty hunter. And he finally tracked him down probably in mid-July or late July before he went back to camp, and tracked him down in Mississippi at his sister's father's house, and basically got him from him and brought him back there, and then started his life with the kids. And it's a story about not just Joe, but everybody realizing what Joe was doing at UT Martin, and everybody kind of pitching in, from the coach's wife to the team to the school, and then they knew it was a special deal, and that was the great part. And then a year later, about a year ago, in February a year ago, his mother calls and says that she's homeless. She has nowhere to go. I mean, she was sleeping in a truck in a parking lot at the Treasure Chest Casino. She lost her truck. She had no place to go. And so he gets her a bus ticket, brings her to Memphis, and has her come live up there. And he turned her life around. So this kid's absolutely, an unbelievable big heart, and kind of like this magic touch. He gives and gives and gives, and everybody around him loves him, and everybody around him, of course, is pulling for him because they know how hard he's worked and how he's done all this, and nothing. It doesn't seem to be a burden on him. Even though it has to be, to him it's like a natural deal, like it was meant to be.
Ron, what kind of reaction have you gotten from the story? Have you heard from Joe? And what's the reaction been like once the story dropped?
Well, Joe was just thrilled by it, very appreciative. This is an extremely humble kid, just extremely, absolutely without ego at all. The hope is that this will get out. Some pro teams will see it, and at least give him a chance, just based on character. Just give me a chance to run. I mean, he's got his pro day in about a week at UT Martin. Of course, it's not a circus like LSU's is. I mean, this is Division I AA school. They have about 8 or 9 guys who are going to be at their pro day up there, and hopefully, like I said, he'll run a good time, and maybe this story will get out, and teams will see. Let's at least give this kid a chance. That's all Joe's asking for. I just want a chance to play anywhere. He goes, I'll play Canadian, anything. I just want a chance to play and because I love football and I want to support my nephews.
Ron Higgins, LSU SEC columnist, join us right here on Dunc and Holder. And Ron, just struck me, if you go look in the comment section of the story, people were pulling for Joe, and he jumped in the comment section, created a profile just to thank everyone for having such support. I think that's just a small snapshot of what kind of guy we're talking about here.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm telling you, this kid is absolutely special. He really is. I don't know if I've ever met an athlete like him who has done what he did. I mean, to take nephews in while you're in college. You're trying to. I mean, here's a kid who's all since he was in high school, trying to academically fight back and show people that, you know, I mean, he is smart. He needs to apply himself. And he went to a junior college, got a 3.7. Went to UT Mark, got a 3.5 grade point average. In the middle of all this, he's trying to play football. Then he's trying to raise nephews. And like I said, I don't think I've ever come across anybody like him. You know, as far as a story subject. I mean, just very, very special person.
Yeah, Ron, wonderful story. I can't say enough how awesome of a job you did for such a great kid. But I do want to touch on LSU here real quick. Good win against Mississippi State over the weekend. Solidifies an NIT spot, you think, for the Tigers?
Yeah, I think so. I think they have 7 wins over top 50 RPI teams. You know, they beat State, which just a couple of weeks ago had been near the top of the SEC about a week or so ago. Beat State, had some good wins, and I think they're in the NIT. No matter what happens in their first round game on Thursday, they play Mississippi State again. You know, no matter what happens in there, I think they're in the NIT. And for this team to be in the NIT is it's probably the best first-year coaching job by an LSU basketball coach, probably since I'm gonna say Dale's first year. And because it's speaking about just like Dale's first year, having not much talent and there left at all, and just taking it and turn it to a viable team, and really, you know, I think like maybe brought back maybe 4 players, maybe tops 5, and then, you know, threw in 2 really good freshmen who contributed, a graduate senior and a junior college transfer, and you know they play together, they play hard. You know, they don't have much depth and they don't have much height, and that's why Wade's a really good coach, but he's found ways to win games despite that, and he understands they can only win a couple of ways. Because of their lack of depth and height, but you know they've won 17 games. I mean, it's you know ridiculous for that team to win 17 games. Back in May when I talked to him at the SEC meetings, I said, "How's it going?" He looked at me, and goes, "I think we're going to be pretty bad this year."
Wow!
And he, you know, and he was serious. He really felt that. And then you know during the season he had you know he fluctuated up and down after the you know, first 2 or 3 SEC games where they came out of the gate really fast. He thought, okay, they're going to be pretty good, and then they hit that spell. They lost straight around. He goes, God, you know, I can see what we really are. The reality is we're this team. We don't have much height, and when I go to my bench, I don't have anybody. You know, I can bring it over 6'6", and I can only go about 3 deep on my bench. So I've got to figure ways to keep my guys, my starters, fresh. And hopefully play a style that keep them out of foul trouble and play a style basically offensively that plays to their strengths. And for the most part, he's done that. As you see, there's some teams he can't match up with ever. Like Alabama, he said I could play Alabama 10 times this year. I wouldn't beat him. We don't match up physically with it, but a lot of other teams we do. And so I think next year he's got the number 3 recruiting class in the nation coming in. The Cavalry is coming, and I think you'll see this program. I'll be surprised unless the chemistry is really terrible next year, bringing in new guys. But he's pretty good about chemistry. This team should be in the NCAA tournament next year.
Ron Higgins, LSU SEC columnist here at NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Hey, Ron, really appreciate you taking the time. And once again, kudos. Great story on Joe Este. One of the best stories I've read in quite some time. So really appreciate it. Great work. And thanks for jumping on the show, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
You got it. All right, that's Ron Higgins, LSU SEC columnist. Why don't we take a break right here on the show? We get back. He referenced the SEC tournament. We'll give you kind of the scope because conference tournaments are going on right now. SEC, the American, Southland, of course. Sun Belt's going to be here in town. Let's kind of lay out what's going to be happening in all these tournaments because we've certainly got some potential. Southland to have a Louisiana team. Sun Belt to have a Louisiana team getting the NCAA tournament. So let's spell it all out. We'll do that next here on Sports 1280. NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Dunc Holder.